everyone, my name is Isaac from the Innovation Consortium, and today I would like to talk about PPE, what PPE is, where we use it and how to use it. Briefly to explain what PPE is. PPE, as you hear, it's an abbreviation for personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment, the gadgets we wear while working in the workshop or any works we do. What are the different types of PPE we have? But before we go to the different types, I'd like to talk about where we use PPE. PPE, we use it while handling any hazardous works or any works we perform in the workshop. By hazardous works, I mean, or I can categorize them into very many categories, but briefly, I can talk about maybe the hot works. Like in the workshop, we have hot works. It could be forging, it could be cutting with a grinder. Those sparks are always hot. So anything hot, that's a hazard, and you need personal protective equipment against the hot works. I can talk about confined space. Maybe you're working in a squeezed room with little aeration and light is little. So the PPE you need will be suiting the little aeration and the low light. So basically, the personal protective equipment prevents any hazards from occurring or any injuries from occurring to the person. The last example I can give you also, you can be working at heights. Working at a height, maybe a booster, a construction site when you're on a flat on high floors. There is certain PPE you need when you're working at a height or higher levels. So basically, PPE protects you against those hazards. There are very many more, but to cut the story short or to briefly explain about them, those are basically the hazards we work in or in our workplaces, the hazards we find. So what are some of the personal protective equipment, so PPE, we use to handle the different hazards in the workplaces? The examples I will give, but show you as well, and you get a clear picture of what PPE is. On my table here, I'm having different types of PPE, and I'll be explaining and taking you through all these types of PPE or the examples of PPE we use. I'll start with the gloves. I have this type of glove. It's called the anti-slip glove, and this one, it's the most commonly used in the workshops. This one we use it for lifting metals, for handling workpieces. So it is anti-slip, gives a proper grip on any workpiece you're holding. They are the most common types of gloves we use. The second one, it's a cotton yarn glove, and this one specifically, we use it when handling hot works. As I had said earlier on, it could be forging, cutting with a grinder, welding. So any hot works, these are the most suitable gloves we use. And the last one I have on my table, they are the rubber gloves. And these ones, we use them when handling corrosive liquids and other substances, so long as they are corrosive, because they are penetrative resistant, so nothing like a liquid can penetrate the rubber, as you can see. So with the gloves, those are some of the examples we have for the gloves. Next on the table, we have this component, and it's a safety goggle. These goggles are for eye protection. We normally put them on when we are maybe cutting those sparks, when we are polishing the fumes going to the eyes. So these ones mostly are for eye protection against any substances in the workshop. Another component I'm having, it's a shield, as you can see. It's a shield, and this one we normally use it when cutting actually any sparks, any fumes from the grinders maybe. When you're spraying be it when you're doing civil works, when you're spraying any civil works with fumes which can go in your eyes. We can use this clear shield to help us protect any substances going through or inside our eyes. Another component I'm having, they are the ear plugs. These ones basically, they protect our ears from excessive noise. So basically when you're performing any operation which involves noise, we normally put or plug the ear plugs into our ears to protect the excessive noise from hitting our ears. We have the ear filters or the ear muffs, and these ones specifically are also for sound or excessive sound. So we also put them on when we are performing any operations where there is noise. You could ask the difference between the two. The difference is in the decibels of the sound. These ones hold low decibels, but these ones rather hold higher decibels or higher sounds. These ones low sounds, small sounds like those of a grinder. But these ones you could take, for instance, hammers, real hammers, hydraulic hammers, the ones we use for splitting rocks, shooting, those guys shooting, performing shooting sessions, they normally use these filters. For them, they hold higher sounds are held by these filters. The other component I'm having, they are the safety shoes. And these ones, the difference with other or the normal shoes we put on, they are reinforced with metals. At the front of the toes, there is a metal which shields the toes, and at the bottom, there is also a metal piece to avoid metals from piercing you from under and in front of the shoe. So these ones specifically, we use them in the workshop to prevent us from any sharp objects or any heavy objects sitting on our toes, hence damaging our toes or feet. The other one I'm having, or the PPE I'm having, it's a helmet, a safety helmet. And this one we put it on whenever we are working at heights maybe. We just put it on our heads and you clamp it firmly on the chin. So in case of any trip and fall hazard, or in case you trip and fall, your head will be protected against fracture or any damages or any injuries basically. The other item I'm having for you, it's an overall wear. And whenever we are performing or doing any works in the workshop or any maintenance works, we normally dress into an overall. And this helps us and prevents us against any flying objects or any fires. It could be fires from the sparks of a grinder. So whenever you put on an overall when working, you're free from fires, grease, or any substances, depending on the type of overall you're putting on. So they come in very many different types of materials. There are those made out of rubber, and those ones are for corrosive liquids maybe. When you're working in, they could be tanks or liquid tanks, corrosive liquid tanks. There are these cotton ones. These ones, we use them in hot works basically, and very many other types, to mention but a few. So basically that's it for the overall. So with a few PPE I've shown you, I hope you have the clear image what PPE is. So whatever work you're doing, be it in your home, be it in the workshop, the personal protective equipment you put on to prevent yourself against any hazards is what we call PPE. And it's a must. We need it and we need them in any works we do. So that is it for the PPE. I hope you've understood what they are. So I remain Isaac from the Innovation Consortium. Thank you very much. Keep tuned in for for our next episodes of how to. Thank you.